Hi, I'm Sid Ekad, and I am joined today by,
Cardigan. Hello, Kamadi Brown.
and he has an album coming out called I Love Madi, and
Hmm.
he is in the midst of working on it. And today we're going to talk about it and just talk about all the great stuff he's been working on and all the stuff he's been releasing and just kind of where it all comes from. So, just for the first question, if for example, like someone is asking you like how would you pitch yourself as a rapper? How would you individualize yourself? What would you say is your selling point when talking to people?
I do think I look at grand scheme a lot, and so um, I would definitely include the highs and lows, including when I made my first mixtape when I was like 14, showing them that growth is really important, um, and being a rapper producer from day one is like because I had so many outlets, as a kid who's only 18. I had a lot of outlets of being a producer and rapping myself, just by myself, not having to go and get a beat or whatever. I'll rap on a beat from here and there, but I really like doing everything. I'm a very soloist person. I've kind of been like that all my life, and so when I get to tamper with things that have been given to me, like instrumentals and just me making my own instrumentals and taking inspiration from a lot of other instrumentals, it's like I could just do me and I don't have to ask anybody else for validation because it's all me, like it's 100% me. So I'm just me, very different. You don't really see anything like this. I'm very confident in saying like that, like style wise, music wise, like direct inspiration. I could let somebody know like second 32 of this song is inspired by this thing. Like, I'm very I take a lot of things from inspiration. So,
I think that's great because these days I think having like a wide like palette especially really helps you like integrate into your music. What would you say when you said you were rapping over a lot of instrumentals like back when you were first starting? What were
mm-hmm.
some of those instrumentals that really like had you hooked?
So I made this beat. It was crazy because I was, let's see, this was summer of 2017, July. My brother and my mom went to a Kendrick concert, and I skipped out because I don't know, I wasn't really big into concerts back then. So I was staying in the hotel with my dad, and I had my mom's work computer, and that was when I was first starting to like make beats for real. And I was playing on my DS, and I was in the settings, and the 3DS settings theme is probably the first thing I ever sampled. And I slowed it down, and I made this really cool beat on it. I made this song called "Ouch," and it was just me just saying "Ouch, ouch," whatever. And it was like, man, I could do this. Like that was the first time. Some people do things, and they're like, maybe next time. But like I was just like, man, I'm locked and loaded already. And I was like, I wasn't even rapping that hard, but I had the vision. I set the precedent for like my growth.
That's
It's
awesome.
always a starting point somewhere.
Yeah, that's great. And what was that software that you used?
It was, I believe, some Linux music making software that was like free,
Oh,
and
that's
so it was like if Free Loops was Windows 10, that was like Windows 98. That was like it was bare bones. It was crazy, but
you made the most
I
of
made
it.
it work. Yeah,
Yeah, no,
a
it's
lot
a
of my favorite beats I made were on there, and people will ask me what DAW I used, and it'll be like that, and it'll be like, whoa. So I just it's being comfortable with what you're given with.
Yeah, I just think it's more about how you use the resources versus like the resource itself. Like you could give like anyone like that like kind of software, like elite software, but it's like more like how you like take
Yeah, for
advantage of it,
sure. It
right?
took me a while to get used to. I use Logic.
Yeah.
It took me a while to get used to that. But also I had that knowledge of using GarageBand prior. GarageBand and Logic kind of go hand in hand. The same way iMovie and Final Cut. You know how Apple is.
Yeah.
But I started making tiny little GarageBand beats on my phone, and then I looked for ones on the computer because I didn't really have a Mac back then, and GarageBand and Logic are Mac exclusive. So I was like, I wonder what an alternative is. And like my brother Josh, he showed me Linux music making software. He was making beats before me. He actually put me on. It was like a beat maker rapper friendship, and then it kind of I started making beats, and he started. So we like did it together, and we still do as a joke. We don't really like post them or anything, but like you know, he's on the album on like a skit, like us talking about stuff, um, and yeah, I be showing him music all the time. It's like that's my brother. You know?
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, no, definitely having that good relationship, especially with someone that close to you, that's important. And I definitely that's
But
great
I
that you
wouldn't
already
have been
have it.
making beats if it wasn't for him.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. And then would you say like, who would you say like some of your biggest producer inspirations are?
I got a long list, but if I had to say top three, growing up and finally like realizing who made beats, because I was super curious because being a producer doesn't really come with its odds and ends like 10 years ago because it was just like there was no producer tags back then or whatever.
Yeah.
Like maybe you'll hear like a Just Blaze or like a like you'll hear very little producer tags. It'll be like the rapper mentioning it or something. And maybe they'll use that on another song. But producer tags didn't really exist when I was, starting to really listen to music, 09, 2010, 2011, and starting to pay attention to it. So if I had to give a top three in my music that just goes, it's probably Ye, obviously. Pierre Bourne for sure. I owe that man like a lot. And then like probably Pharrell. But that all three of those inspirations dive deeper from the producer world. Like I take inspiration from them and I don't like to separate their production from what they do in real life. So like all three of those people I take inspiration from like even outside of producing.
Oh yeah.
So probably Ye, Pierre, and Pharrell.
Yeah.
Probably.
The thing with Ye and Pharrell, and I wonder if you like agree with me, it's like when you said no producer tags, but it's like recently I think what really hit me was that Pusha T album that came out. Like
the 4 count.
It's like you can tell whenever like each one's beat was being used because of just like the instruments.
Yeah, it's like they've built such a empire on that, and it's like even without Pharrell's 4 count, which it's on that album a lot. But,
yeah.
Even without Pharrell's 4 count, what I didn't like about the album, it's almost dry. What I do like now is like I listened to it the first time and I was like, man, I just wish Pharrell like went a little more out of the boundary of the same 808 and snare. But then I listened to it and I was like, oh, like I just got it instantly. Like Brambleton, Smoke and Shine the Coops, all completely different sample choices, but they got the same 808 and snare, or it's a rim, some crazy snare. It's bananas, but yeah, I just got it. I understood.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Then for sure that Pusha T as well in terms of like rapping inspiration. That's probably a question already, but.
Oh yeah, for sure. That was actually was going to transition me to my next point was who are your biggest like rapper inspiration?
That's even longer list because like the rap community has a pretty big problem about differentiating like inspiration from like biting because like people always want to go quick into like, oh, you're biting, you're stealing. It's like, dog, somebody made a painting with this color paint already, I just use it differently. So if I had to think, like I'll be rapping my ass off. I'm like a really good writer, and like I'll be having flow changes and stuff. But Pusha T as a thought process of the bars I write, they don't even have to be similar to his, but as a thought process, especially recently, him for sure. Just because I lived in Virginia when I was a kid and I kind of grew up on Clips, and also Pharrell. I'm really big on how Pusha T presents himself and how he knows he's it. The it factor is incredible for Pusha T. And then I'd probably have to say Doom for sure.
Doom's great.
Recently with my words, a lot of people have been telling me they've seen a lot of Doom. Recently, probably I've listened to a lot of Boldy James recently. So Boldy James, all of his like he raps his ass off. It's ridiculous how he just keeps.
He sounds so casual with it,
right?
Too.
And it's like I feel like he does it in his sleep.
No,
like
yeah, he
actually does.
He's got it down to a science, and the way he be releasing, it's so quick.
Yeah, yeah. Main ones, you got your Ye. I definitely, in terms of inspiration, I don't really rap like Jay-Z, like him, but I love him. I love his work. I love what he's done for rap and how, like, you know, with me again saying the it factor, he started it and he just knew immediately. And I like people who do that. Like, you know, second guessing makes you worse at what you do. So yeah,
It's the hungriness for sure. Like being
yeah, I can definitely tell. Oh, speaking of which, the Saturation trilogy by Brockhampton for sure. All seven of the vocalists, like even just early Brockhampton in general. That's when I started rapping for real, and so I was just like, they're hungry. They were starving.
Oh yeah,
it's ridiculous. You can just hear it.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think the thing about Brockhampton was like, especially now because you see it with like, I was actually talking to a friend about this the other day. He was saying like, I was listening to Paris, Texas, and AG Club, and it's just like crazy because it's like Brockhampton really influenced a lot of people to just go out there.
They don't realize it until it's said. Brockhampton was like, you know, reasons like a lot of artists like Injury Reserve and AG Club and Paris, Texas could strive. It's just because like knowing that it's a collective, just being collective with the group, they did a lot for that.
Oh yeah,
and they were definitely on the whatever you are in the team, you're part of the team. Sometimes, you know, boy bands and stuff, they were such a critically acclaimed boy band, and they labeled themselves as a boy band because they wanted that to break the boundary, because it's normally just the vocalists that are on the star of, you know, maybe one producer. But it was like everybody's going to get the same treatment: producer, graphic designer, videographer, photographer. Like they wanted everybody to get their share, and that's exactly what I want. But it's crazy because I love that because I'm a soloist, and so I want people to know that I'm doing this all myself.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's definitely great that like you're taking a lot of this into your own hands and like you want to cultivate that creative process. Now, I would like to kind of move into what you've worked on, like your collaborations in the past, and then kind of what you're bringing into the future. So my first question on that realm would be kind of going back to the Pasamba collaboration. How did that like occur? Like, how did you connect with him? And then how did like that creative process? Because you mentioned to me earlier that he was all the way in a different state. So like, how did that kind of work?
Actually, me and Condi was internet friends with him. I haven't found out the specifics on like where they met or anything, but as soon as me and P started talking, I was like we're like really similar, and a lot of our interests are similar in music and stuff, and so it was around the time I want to say late November, early December, where I was just like, hey, mind you give me some beats? Like, I saw your beats and they're incredible, and he said the same thing back, just like with my music. And with Salem, I released an album I think November last year. Salem, the whole green joint, but yeah, we linked, and then he sent me 2 beats, and I think around January of this year, my hard drive like just got like messed up, and I was super down about it. It was like I went through the 5 stages of grief. Like I was working on a really good album, which was Kamadi at the time. I think it was called Shotgun House before that. But,
wow.
I was working on it, and then just from the months of January to April, I actually got it back on April 1st, which is funny. And I was like, awesome, because that put the battery in my back. I was screwed. Like, I had nothing. I have a really bad laptop that I still use that's like filled to, you know, that notification you get where it tells you your disk is almost full. I get that every single second of the day, and that's how messed up my laptop was. So I was screwed. I was like, damn, I don't want to write. I don't want to make music. I don't want to make any beats. And then it randomly started after I got it sent back by a company who was like, I don't know what the problem is. It just worked. So I was like, awesome, cool. I released Bottle Caps as a single because that was the only song that was like 100% done. Because I had dropped ATM in December. That was from that album. I also overlooked that song a lot. It's really good. I forget how good that song is sometimes. And then I finished the album. incredible, really good reception. I was putting posters around downtown Raleigh about it. I got a lot of a lot of people say that's their favorite album from mine. But just getting back to your question, that song, track 7, Cardi Samba, it's called Cardi Samba, it gets really difficult when I bring it up because they're like, "Are you talking about the album or the song?" I'm like, "Dude, I don't even know." But that song, everybody was like, "Yo, this one is like it," because I rap really well. I was having a couple of heart problems like early this year because I was super anxious and I was grieving at the time and I wasn't really letting it out. So that manifests physically a lot. And so I was having a lot of heart problems. I ended up getting in the hospital, I think New Year's Day, and I was with my dad and I was riding this bar and I was like talking to him about the verse, and I was like, when I wrote that down in the water, it's my last shift, staying hydrated, white paintings in the labyrinth, I was like, okay, this is one of the best verses I've ever written. And so I just started going, rapping my ass off, and the only thing I added to that beat was an 808, and that really just gave it that battery. And then I got my friend Taco to scream on it because I was like, I need that DJ Drama-esque, like, I need that Gangsta Grills, go Cardigan, like, this is crazy. And then they ended up being the narrator of the new album. And we just go hand in hand, man. Like, he'll send me stuff, I'll send him stuff. We'll be like, yo, this is incredible. Every time I've sent him stuff, he'll be like, this is the best thing you ever made. And I never want to end it. I never want to be like, I always want the thing I send them to be the best thing I've ever made.
Oh, yeah.
And so, yeah, especially with this new one, it's called Jules. It's got, Black Phoenix on it. That's my brother. I'm just like, wow. Like, it's such, like, I was like, I didn't ask him for any specifics. I was like, hey, could I get like a mid-80s, early 90s BPM? And I kind of, I just knew where his head was at because it was just very late summer, starting school, like barbecue-esque, Labor Day-esque.
Yeah.
I was like, I made it like a cookout song. And it's like, it's so good. It's really good. But yeah, I never want to stop, man. It's like we've got this bond and it's like over the phone, which is like, it's incredible.
Have you guys ever like met in person?
No, I really plan on doing it. Next year's gonna be really big for me, just in general, because man, I've got Cardi Samba's doing really well. I've dropped that the 1st of July, and so with July, August, September's a really big month for me. It has been, and it's crazy that it's almost over, but it's been a really big month for me. I've been doing a lot of open mics. I've been getting my name up a lot, and then October, my new album comes out on the 7th. That I'm really excited for, just because it's like I made it like. I didn't even make it quick on purpose. Like, I'm a very quality over quantity person. I choose songs to work. A lot of people make 20, 30 songs. They don't even know what they're like. They go to the studio, they just leave. They, post it on an album that's not even cohesive. It's kind of just a compilation. Like, I really like working on albums. Like, I like, the rollout I do or the things I am looking at in terms of inspiration. I want those to stem from kind of the same things. It's like, I love working on albums, and I love being like, okay, this is a good album. Some songs are really good from albums that aren't good.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But I want every song to be, that's an album song.
Oh,
you could take it out of context or in context. I kind of try to meet that equilibrium. But yeah.
Album cuts are definitely underrated, for sure. I always think about in 30 Hours, Kanye goes, this is, those bonus tracks for the album. He always takes
That song is like, really good.
Yeah.
The whole life of Pablo. I was just talking to somebody about how like the life of Pablo is an unfinished album with finished songs. Like Highlights is incredible. Facts is incredible. 30 Hours is insane because it's like, but like also me when it came out and me now, I'm like, that's not really that good of an album, but there's amazing songs on it.
Oh, I always say it's sequenced horribly.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's pure Ye. And like what he was talking about was like, only Ye could say that. He was like, yo, I'm better than Apple. I'm better than Nike. And we were like, oh, okay. You're the only person who could say that.
Yeah. The rollout was crazy too.
Oh yeah.
One of the weirdest rollouts. I think Donda was almost there, but like I don't even think that is. That was so crazy. But that's good. I think you highlighting like album cuts and like in like kind of just emphasizing like a cohesive like narrative within your album. That's actually where I was gonna kind of go back to like what is the foundational idea behind like this upcoming LP like I Love You, Marty?
Foundation. It's very funny you said foundation because track 6 on Commodity. This is a sequel to Commodity. This is a sequel. I'm gonna keep it a sequel. I'm not gonna make like a third one or anything. Keep going. But I'm definitely gonna keep going with Cardi Samba. But this is a sequel, and track 6 specifically on Commodity called Lip Gloss is like one of my favorite songs, beats, themes. It was kind of about how intimacy really pushes a relationship, and then that sometimes it's all you have, and so when you take that away, it's just not a relationship anymore. And for this album, I really wanted to, because the first song I made for making this album it's called Two Face. It's track 10. It's the outro. I really wanted to make it the outro because it's just like it's a magnum opus song for me. I do that with a lot of my outros, but it's called Two Face because the makeup brand Two Face, but also Two being the number 2 sequel, and the theme of the whole album is like either like makeup, fallacies, kind of like, lying, not really lying, but a lot of confusion there, as well as like, putting on a facade, it's just like, I'm not going to say makeup is put on a facade, but, just making shit up, like it was, I had gotten out of this, sticky situation I had with somebody, and I was actually waiting for the right moment to start really making music about them. And so I wanted to wait it out. I didn't want to rush anything because, I can't rush greatness, as some people say. But I always bring up the fact that, if you start a painting and you're like really happy about the painting and something bad happens in your mind, you're not going to want to finish it. But the other way around, it makes like the greatest painting ever. And so when I started off negativity and I built that negativity up into positivity, I really wanted to finish, the painting. And so that's kind of what it is. It's like a really good painting. There's songs in it that don't really match the theme, but I definitely do think they're in the right spot of the album where that's okay,
Yeah.
Got a little interludes from my amazing friend Jessie. She sent me like 15 minutes of her just talking. I gave her 3 talking points because a lot of this album's skits and words and dialogue are really candid. I didn't want to be like, okay, action, say this in the camera, say this way, whatever. I really wanted it all to be natural so I could use it the way I would like to use it to make it sound like really authentic, and that's what I really shot for, and I made the goal. She sent me like 15 minutes of her talking and about, I asked her to bring up her makeup routine and bring up her skincare routine just because that was one of the main themes of the album. And then also just talk about your life because this album is really about my life and where I am right now. And I'm glad I can soon enough close that chapter off and start new and start fresh. And this is really encapsulating my life in between July and September. And so theme-wise, I got a song called Beautiful Life on there. It's incredible just because, that's the intro track. It's so beautiful. I just want to say, makeup, me having an amazing life, and then also the path of like my culinary like path that I'm taking right now. I'm a chef, so I have that, and then I also have music. So it's just like those paths are growing at the same time, like really exponentially, and so that's something I rap about a lot as well.
That's definitely great. I think like using like music as an outlet. Would you say like that's your prime outlet for like getting out like your thoughts and emotions?
Yeah, because it doesn't even always have to be verbal. I could put my heart into a beat with no words. That's what I love about making music. It can encapsulate and say so much without even saying anything.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that's what I love making music. It definitely gets a lot of my emotions out, especially because I could listen to it over and over again. really good.
Yeah. No, definitely like beats for sure. Like I think that Louis album that came out with Kenny Beats.
God, yo. I shedded so many tears listening to that for the first time. I was like, man, it's incredible. And the fact that it was like a gift
To his dad.
Yeah,
Insane.
that was incredible.
Yeah, or even Jay Dilla like Donuts. Yeah,
Dilla. Yeah, I wouldn't like. I've been chopping a lot of samples like Dilla, but like I'm so far and detached from that because I can't achieve that in my greatest day.
Oh, he's that's upper echelon production.
Yeah,
but just like that's like a lot of people don't realize that like you can use beats. Like you don't have to like what you just said. Like you don't say words, but you just put it and like you just throw it into the soul. And you can definitely get that a lot. Would you say Pasamba kind of helped you a lot?
Yeah,
with, like,
for sure. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I think they're going to school for engineering, like musical engineering, in New Jersey, and so he changed the view of how I felt about Sonics a lot, because like the stuff he would send me was just like literally the stems would be 30 to 40 tracks, and I'll be like, yo, like you're doing a lot, and it's like it's incredible how like I can't even fathom doing that. Like, you know, I like simplicity with my production, but like I like simplicity that people don't know if they click play, they don't know it's simple. Like I'll have some really complex stuff behind, or vice versa. You know, it'll be a really complex beat, but I'll literally only press 4 buttons and I make it. You know, but he really changed the outlet on how I look at sound, because also it was my first time ever being a co-engineer. You know, like I record all my music myself and I mix it all myself, I master it all myself, and so it was my first time getting notes from somebody else, and I enjoy that because it's like that's the first time I've ever had a 50-50, and a lot of the like basically everything he was saying was correct, and I changed it and it was like so much better. And it's just having that knowledge that's like detached from you. I was like, man, like that gives me another perspective, because I'll show my friends songs, but like, you know, my friends aren't going to school to make songs sound better. You know what I'm saying? So it was an incredible experience for me that I definitely want to do again. Track 9 on Cardi Samba, Outro Samba, was just a beat. He sent it to me and I was like, I don't want to rap on this. This is beautiful. And so I just called it Outro Samba because it's like the outro, you know. It's like, and you know, the birds at the end of it merge into the birds of the intro, so you could kind of just listen to it forever.
Oh, that's an interesting detail. I didn't pick up on that.
I actually got that from like just idea. I got it from how Heat on Saturation 1, like the intro starts with that weird sound, and then Team at the end of Saturation 3 has that sound. So I kind of did that. A lot, you know, like trilogies are awesome, sequels are awesome, but like you can't get better than that. You know, making it in rotation, having it, you could play it forever. I just think about that, like, you know.
There's definitely like sequencing for sure. Like there's a lot to play with there for sure. Like, is there any like cool sequencing that you're planning for this without spoiling too much, obviously?
Not quite. Not like cool specifics, but I really like it. I think I posted the track list in its early stages, but the intro is like called Dream Sequence because it's an intro, and it's also me like there's a skit on it, or there's a clip of dialogue about it, like on journaling, like about journaling and how journaling is, well, like it's the intro because it's like this is like a journal, but also dream sequence because like this is my dream sequence. Like it's incredible how good the sequence is. Like I made it so much like every song is focusing on a specific thing, but also you're taking it all at once, you know. So there's not really like much to spoil about it. It's not like anything special, but it's incredible. I love it.
That's great. That's that's awesome. Yeah, no, I'm really excited to just like take a look at it, finally like hear it, because it's like it sounds like you have like such a like clear vision. It's like it's not you're like not like throwing things at the wall. You're just like, I'm ready. Like I know exactly what I want to do. So
it took me a while to like finalize on all the things, but you know, and I also with finalizing, I don't really have like different versions of things. You know, like if somebody like, you know, has a different version of a song, he'll be like, okay, here's this song at this version. I was playing with this a little bit, and then they'll drop it. But like, I'm definitely like I'm gunning for this. Like, I won't have any different. I'll delete the versions. You know, like I'll maybe have a different bar
Yeah.
somewhere, but like I'll delete the version of like something that's different if I've come up with something better.
That makes sense. Yeah. I was actually kind of to stay on the collaboration route a little bit. Is there any collaboration? You mentioned like kind of getting like skits from like people that are close to you. Is there any other artists that you're collaborating with on this upcoming?
Black Phoenix. My friend I also met through Condi. They go to state. He's like such a big brother figure to me, and he's like the big homie, and I've always wanted him on a song. We have collaborations in the vault that will probably be a part of his album rollout or something. But Black Phoenix, he's incredible. One of like my favorite rappers that I know in person. He really speaks to me. Just very black, very like that's like my big brother, and so every time I hear him rap, it's incredible. So when I got him on the song, and I got to sit in the studio with him and like co-produce his verse, and so I was like, I love like a lot of things. I didn't have to be like, okay, do this instead. I was like, yo, like this will be crazy, like I was in there with him, but like his verse is so good, and it's what I really wanted on it. Like it's like a late summer like cookout vibe, like this track of, you know what I'm saying? So it's like that's the only feature I think I've ever had. Like I'm a very solo person. Cardi Samba was something different in terms of me being a rapper producer and Pasamba only being a producer, to my knowledge. But in terms of rap, it's kind of only me. But having them on the album is incredible. It's such a blessing because both of our rap paths are growing at like really high rates, and so just for me to have that now set in stone, it's just incredible.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Would you ever consider like maybe like adding more like in future albums, or would you say like?
Yeah, I'm after this album, I'm definitely open to a lot of collaborations. I was telling a lot of people who wanted to work with me, like, let me get this out, like not out the way, you know what I'm saying? It sounds like negative, but I was like, let me finish this and I'll get back to you, because I was focusing on me at the time. But after this album comes out, I'm definitely probably hitting the feature run a little bit, maybe produce for some people that I really enjoy, because that project's out the way, and so I could finally focus on, like I said, I hone in on a lot of things. Like some people will go and make a bunch of songs, I'll make like 5 or 6 and just like really work on those 5 or 6 for like 3 months, and it's incredible how I even have the brain power to do that. But I'm definitely open to working with a lot more people in the months of October, November.
Yeah, that's great. No, that's awesome. Like I think you being more open, like and like you like feeling fulfilled with this album. Would you say like that's more like you want to refine this like album concept to its best before you start moving on to other?
Yeah. If I was working with people while I was working on an album, I'd definitely get distracted on other things. But I definitely, like I was telling people, I'll work with you after this, but like not in a mean way. I was just like letting them know I'm focusing on something right now, and that focus has been dealt with. October 7th. Very excited.
Yeah, sometimes you just gotta lock in,
Very much.
Yeah, and then now we kind of went through your appeal for rapping, and your inspirations. But which of the albums you've worked on previously do you like look back like fondly that you like wish like that you kind of want to like follow up on, or maybe even like try to like expand?
Well, definitely Kamadi, which is I Love You Madi is a sequel of it, which is it's great. I can put those two together and just be like blown away. Let's see. I made this album when I was 13, and I released it on my 14th birthday. It was called Verbal Conflict. It was just a little kid rapping and over beats he made, and it was when I look back at it, it was adorable. Sounded like shit. Mixing was really bad, but it's adorable. I'm not. When someone asks me about it, or someone scrolls all the way down my SoundCloud page and finds it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's when I made it. Like blah blah blah. Like a lot of people will scoff at things that they did a while ago, but me knowing that I had that vision and knew I was gonna be rapping ever since, I'd look at it as like a trophy. Like I was sitting in my bedroom with a snowball microphone, on Linux music making software making that. It's like I haven't even came a long way yet. That was only 4 years ago, and I'm 18 years old, and I have so much in my future. But I'm not ashamed to have that there. I was making that 5 years ago. So almost 6. Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, no, I think not being embarrassed, that there's nothing to be embarrassed about that at all, because like that's your through line. Like people can see like where you started and then where you are now. I don't think there's any shame in that at all.
Yeah, for sure. And like when I was in school, like people would know me as the music guy, So now if they see me in person 6-7 years later, they're like, "Oh, you still making music?" I'm like, "Yeah." I could like say, "Yeah." Like imagine that like you did, and then you were like, "No, I don't do that anymore." Like, why not? Like do what you love.
Yeah, no shame at all. Yeah, I love the way you look at it. That's great. And now, what are some? You kind of mentioned like you've really enjoyed dabbling in that like barbecue, like laid back vibe. Is there any other like genres or subgenres you'd love to experiment in that you think you would love? Yeah, you have a vision for it all.
Yeah. Track 3 on the album, it's called Trust Fund. I put a jungle drum break in it. It's mainly based on Skittles by 454, which is like one of my favorite songs I've ever heard in my life. I put a drum break in it on a normal rap beat, but like I put one of those drum breaks in it. I think it happens 3 times in the song. I really want to do that more, and rap on those types of things more. That, and I don't know, maybe experiment. It's hard to say that as like or get asked that question by like with the producer in mind in me, because like I'll think of something and just make it something completely different. Like I sample on this album a little bit, but all those samples are like you never hear them in what I made.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't even know what I want to dabble in. I'll dabble in something. I'll find something to make another thing.
Oh yeah.
Sandcastle.
Yeah, it'll just like you'll inevitably come upon it, and then when you do, it'll like come to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very in the moment. Would you say?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
I can't think of the future that much.
That makes sense. You got to live in the moment. Enjoy what you have like right now,
for
today.
Sure.
Yeah. And then, I had another question along those lines. Oh, we'll circle back to that. But how do you think your like writing has changed over time, like your pen game for sure?
Man, that makes me think, because the first project I was talking about, are like them little raps I was doing in middle school. Like I was really just rapping about whatever. Like I'd rap about Pokemon a lot. I'd rap about I do a lot of references and punchlines back then, because that's kind of all I knew. But like with my flow and my pen game evolving, like I know what the people that are listening to my music really want. And so, with that being said, I start a verse and I just keep writing, and like I keep going. It's like I surprise myself a lot, but like rarely do I surprise myself every time I listen to the song. And that's like what I've been doing for a while. Like I don't have any features out right now. Which is why when you ask me that question, again, grand scheme, I think of what is behind that verse. Because it's like I haven't rapped on something that hasn't been mine before, so or something I can't tamper with. And so like if I'm on a feature, I'll rap my ass off because I want to rap my ass off, but I'll like write the verse while I'm making the beat, and then I'll finish both and be like, that's incredible. And like some things I wouldn't, like some lines and verses I would have never done if it wasn't for this change in the beat or me doing this in the beat. So I kind of look at it like that. Just being a rapper producer, being very versatile. I like rapping a lot. I've always been a big fan of words and poems ever since I was a little kid. Just me knowing when I started to finally remember songs when I was like a toddler or 5, 6, 7, that kind of age, I was the one who remembered the words. Like my brother always like talks to me about it because he'll talk to our friends about it, and he'll be like, yeah, Kamadi, like, he would remember the words more than anything, and like that's kind of what I still do. Like a song will come out, and a week later I'll like rap the entire verse. It's how I felt about when Family Ties came out.
Ooh.
I knew it like immediately because I was just like, man, like this is so good not to know. Like it's almost Dry by Pusha T. Like I almost know that entire album based on logistics alone. Like just me being like, wow. Yeah.
It's attention to the pen. I think like a lot of people these days focus on vibes, but I think pen's just important. It's like not gone anywhere.
Yeah, and it's also like I achieved, it's my favorite part about me. Like I achieved those vibes with an incredible pen game. And like, that's a good balance. Rapping my ass off on like beats that like people would just do normal choruses on. Like, and my choruses will go into the verse, and then my verse will go into the chorus. Like, I really like doing that. And I really like showing people that I could do both, but not to say that there's two things that I'm doing. Like, I do both is an incredible sentence, but like, there's more than two things, you know? I do it all.
That's great. No, honestly, I think that confidence, that raw confidence is what you need going into this because, like, you need to be confident in your own vision. And I think you can't really find that in anybody else. That's good. So do you ever, like, send your demos to your friends and be like, hey, can you listen to this? Or, like, can you give me
sometimes it's a, hey, is there anything? The only person I really have done like, hey, is there anything different I should do is Condi, because like I trust him a lot with like my art. You know, he's been with me for my entire life, and everything I do, whether I like it or not, giving an opinion on it. So like a lot of things I take in stride when he says something, or if I ask him specifically, hey, is there things I need to change on this? He'll let me know because he cares about my craft. But other times, I'll go in my mom's room and be like, hey, Mom, listen to this, and I'll turn it on, and she'll be like, that's incredible, and I'll be like, thank you, and I'll just walk out. I love doing that, but I'll send my friends songs that I'm working on. A lot of my friends are like my biggest supporters, and it's like nowadays I have like actual fans who come up to me and be like, oh, you're a Cardigan, like, or like I've seen you on Instagram or something, and I'll be like, oh, thank you, like I really appreciate that. But like all of my friends are like my biggest supporters, and that's something I really need, and I love. Like I love that.
Yeah, definitely. I think like having like a great support system gives you the chance to like, and like it adds to your confidence. It's not your entire confidence, but it adds to it for sure. And that's really awesome. I think like surrounding yourself with people that really care about like seeing you succeed is really important, especially as a rapper. I feel like having like important like people you look up to. Were there any like mentor figures you had like entering the like rap world, or was there
the rap world? I mean I would say my mom and dad, because I wouldn't have listened to rap if it wasn't for what they were choosing to play around their kid. But yeah, my mom, very hip hop mom. Like her alias is just hip hop mom, because she's got a podcast where she talks with her and her friends about current events, but also hip hop, and like her alias is hip hop mom. It's called Straight to Tape. And my dad, he's a huge hip hop head, and like when he started seeing me rap, he was like, "Oh, nice." But like even more recently, like he's been in like every show I've done, just been there supporting me, and I've showed him like Cardi song because like that's his favorite so far. Like he'll talk to me about songs I dropped like 2 years ago on SoundCloud as a little thing. Like he'll like, and he's a DJ too, so he'll be playing my music at like functions, and it's like I love having that support, like and it's like I know that I'm getting that support because one, they're my parents, and two, that I'm really good. Like if I was bad, I'd still get support from my parents, but I love that it's genuine.
Oh, that's great, yeah. And so like when you were like growing up, like what was like your first exposure to hip hop? Like was it through them? Like what were some of the albums and some of the songs they were playing you that really like stuck with you?
Graduation and 808s and Heartbreak for sure, because Graduation came out when I was 4 or 5. That's kind of when you gain consciousness as a child, when you start paying attention to commercials and you start playing video games and actually start playing video games other than just pressing a lot of buttons. So Graduation, 808s, I literally remember like watching Ye music videos on the TV on MTV. Like that's how like those two albums, and then Lord Willin' by Clips, for sure. Just because we was in Virginia Beach for a little bit, and that was the vibe. That was the vibe of my life. Um, I was listening to Pusha T a lot, as a kid, and Malice and Clips and Pharrell in my mind, probably. Just looking back at it. Other albums, I would probably say, I don't know. I like my dad and my mom are really big fans of The Roots and De La Soul, so I would probably say Philadelphia Half-Life or Philadelphia Life or what, I don't remember what it's called specifically, but I think it was one of the first Roots albums. And then Things Fall Apart is really good too. I like the parallel to like that in the book. And then De La Soul pretty frequently, but those were the things that I was really listening to when I was a kid. Tribe Called Quest, Pharoah Monch. Like my mom is like such a big hip hop head, and I'm glad she like wanted me to listen to that type of stuff.
Oh, that's awesome. And so, if say like in the future you do have a kid, or like you find someone that like wants to learn from you, and you give them 5 albums that you want to like pass down, that you're like, this is like the foundational text for
me, like the foundation for me,
foundation for you, or like just foundation for like getting into hip hop and like being educated.
Getting into those are two different. I'll like incorporate, like I'll try to think of the equilibrium of those, because those are two different 5s.
That's fair.
So
that's fair.
First, I would probably have to say Late Registration by Ye, because everything that he did wrong in College Dropout, he did right on that album. And then me adding another Ye thing, like Graduation for sure. And then The Life of Pierre 4 by Pierre Bourne. Just because that album is just my life. Like I've listened to that album more than I've listened to a lot of things. And probably, if we're just keeping it hip hop, then like I don't know, probably Hell Have No Fury by Clips. Song after song after song after song, they were just like, I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna rap. And then I guess, I'm a really big Cardi fan, so I'd probably show one of my kids Cardi for sure. So I just show him Die Lit, because Self-Titled is awesome, but Die Lit is very experimental, and he did a lot of things on that album, and Pierre did a lot of things on this album that like haven't been really done before, and that set the precedent for a lot of hip hop production. Just Pierre did in general. So yeah, I love how all those are Ye, Pharrell, and Pierre. Like what I said earlier.
They're gonna go down like as like in history.
For
so
sure.
They're definitely that's a very like solid list. I don't think I would have I don't disagree with you on any of those for sure. So kind of bringing it back to you. So you kind of mentioned that you're having like a fan base now and you're growing. Have you ever performed live, and what did you think of that energy?
I've performed 4 times. First one was at local. It's not really a venue. It's just called The Porch. It's literally my brother's porch. Like my brother and their roommates. I performed first. I did like a 15-minute set. It was really cool. I sequenced a lot of things together. That was awesome, and I was really, really nervous. But then after that, I was just like, boom, I'm incredible. I've just known I've been an incredible performer, because I'm not going to forget the words that I sat there and mixed and mastered for 3 months straight. Like, I'm not going to forget those words. So, like, if I go up and perform any song from, like, the last 3 albums I've made, I'll just remember everything. Because I'm sitting there tweaking it every single day. I performed at the Lucky Tree recently on Hillsborough Street. They have every second and fourth Monday they have an open mic, and I performed there. I did 2 songs, but it was really cool. It was invigorating. I did a 20-minute set at Ruckus Pizza, the one in Mission Valley. It was incredible. I did really well. I had my support group with me. Like my mom and dad were in the back, and then a lot of my friends were there. So I had that. It was a 20-minute set, so it was really long, but I really liked it. I was sweating up there. It was humid outside, but I would have been sweating regardless, because I was like rapping so hard, and like my breath control has gotten really good. So yeah, I performed it. I also performed at this like vintage market called the Outlaw Market. I did like 3 little songs. It was nice though. I got really good reception from all 4 performances, and in the future, I really want to perform. I'm really excited for the end of this year, next year, because like I'm gonna be performing like a lot, and I'm a really good performer already. So I get a lot of compliments on my stage presence. I get a lot of compliments on like things that I add to the songs that aren't in the actual like wax songs, And so I just want to perform all of it. It's so fun. It's awesome. And it just gives me that rush. I go and I click into rap mode. I just rap my ass off.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, no, the stage presence is really important because like you can have like some of the best like lyrics and like songs ever, but then like just not knowing how to conduct yourself is like I feel like that's really important. Like really knowing how to like go about it. Is there like any like going forward, like if you were to like have a tour, like how would you want to like conduct yourself? Like what would be like kind of like the way you'd organize like the concert in a way to like kind of like support your music?
I don't know, but I definitely would do a different set list every time.
Ooh.
I would do a different set list every time, and I would also probably, if it's even possible, I wouldn't have an opener. But if it wasn't possible, I'd go up there and do a DJ set and then perform. Because I'm the main person. Like if I have somebody I want to go on tour, that's great. Like, but I kind of just want to perform for the whole time. Like I have more than an hour and a half of music, and I want to like show people I do. Especially in the future when I do, and if I do end up touring. Yeah, definitely want to change the set list up because I'll go to a concert that's like 8 days down the tour list, and I'll like see the set list, and I'm like, damn, I got spoiled because I wanted to see it live. I'm a really big concert fan, so just being in the crowd and then also being on the stage with knowing both, it's incredible to me. So haven't gotten on the stage quite yet, but when I do, I'm gonna rock that shit, and I'm gonna change it up. I'm gonna sequence it the way I want to because I made everything, Some people don't have the rights to their stuff, they can't play some things. Some people curate it for them. Like I just can't wait to just do it because I do it myself.
Yeah, yeah. Everything comes from you. That's perfect.
Sure. Yeah, I get a lot of this. I completely just forgot in my mind, but in terms of being a soloist, I get a lot of inspiration from JPEG Mafia because
it's all him.
It's all him. Like that's one of my main inspirations for just making music in general, and also what he raps about. But how he conducts himself, and how he's like he'll be at a concert and he'll be like, "All right, guys, next song," and he'll go to his computer and click it, and then come back and start performing it. Like that's something I love. Him being a soloist and him being really proud of that, him owning all those masters, that's like my favorite thing ever.
No, Peggy is insane. I think what I love about him is how like he is just raw. He's him, and like he's really gotten a following just because it's him. Like it's all him. Like, and everybody who like collabs with him just wants that out of him. They don't try to contort him or fit him into a place where he doesn't belong. It's just all him.
Yeah, thanks.
Which is great, and I think you taking that inspiration is like really important because I think like you hear too much about like rappers these days not like being able to do certain things or having rights issues, and I think you actually being able to like fully say this is my product and I get to decide what to do with it, that's really important. And I think a lot of people should start like having ownership of their own work. I think that's very important.
For sure.
Yeah. So I think just 2 more questions.
Mm-hmm.
Which song did you record the fastest? Like, which one was, you usually refine it, you were emphasizing that a lot earlier, but which one was it like, I just need to get this down on paper and the words just came to you?
Is this like any song like recently or the one like on the album or like in general?
I would say, let's do recent.
Okay. I was just talking to my best friend Megan about how a song isn't really finished until I turn it in. And so, like, I would probably say, writing-wise, probably Cardi Flexin' on Cardi Samba because I made that beat pretty quickly And then I wrote that all in that one sitting, and I didn't like sit on it or anything because it was really raw, and I didn't want to end that album with that, and so like I put that, and then like I let the album breathe and ride out on the outro track because like that was, if I'm being honest, way too raw for me. You know, like it was so raw that I had to like let it sit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like let it ride out. So just not even looking at the speed there. Like I wrote it really quick because I was super hungry on that song. Like so that one kind of soared by. But Three Musketeers from Kamadi I wrote very quickly because it was kind of a freestyle song. I put like the beat's really cute. I was literally sitting there. I don't think I had the verse written down. I was sitting there, I was saying something and then clicking it, punching myself in again. That's it. So probably Three Musketeers is probably my fastest song ever made.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, no, just putting it all out there. It's like I can't even begin to imagine how to like freestyle or even get like those words coming to you, but like just kind of getting that psychology is like interesting. Yeah, and then for my last question, just do you have like a formula for your song structure, and how have you like bent it before, and how have you like kind of like kept with it?
I don't have a formula. I don't.
Yeah.
I can't. I literally can't say I do, because if I did, I'd just be lying.
Yeah.
So I definitely don't. I'll have a verse written down. I'll make a beat for it, or I'll make a verse for a beat. You know, I just don't have a formula. I don't follow any guidelines or anything.
Yeah.
I normally start with the sample just to see what the drums should sound like, but sometimes I start with the drums and put the sample in it. You know, it all depends on how I'm feeling.
Yeah. And what is like the wildest thing you've ever sampled? Like what is something that like?
See, if I said that, and if in 2 months I get to be a really popular artist, they're gonna take the song down.
Oh, you're right. So you're right.
I have a really, really good one on this album that I'm just not gonna say.
All right. Well, I can't wait to hear it. I'll let you know if I'll ask you in private. I'll maybe like ask you to see. Sure. But yeah, no, I think that's all the questions I have. But just plug anything that's coming up. I know you got that big LP coming up, but plug anything else.
For real. Well, Cardigan 10X on Instagram. Cardigan everywhere. Apple Music, Spotify. I Love You, Marty. October 7th. Thank you for having me.
Of course, yeah. It was great to finally be able to talk to you and like get like all this really cool insight. I'm really looking forward to the album, and I can't wait for everyone else to take a look at it too. Yeah, I can't wait to see where all you go from here. And this is Sid Ecad with WKNC, and have a great day.